There we go. Hey guys. Okay, so I am Becky Schauer. I am an independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. I want to welcome you here, especially if you are a replay viewer. I love having you here. So I wasn't going to talk about this today. Then my day kind of went a little, well, I don't know. I guess it went about as planned. And it just kind of triggered some thoughts that I thought maybe I ought to share. And so I'm going to talk to you guys today about when your mom friend has a child with special needs. Okay, so I'm talking about this because my daughter actually has a hearing loss. She is deaf. And so that is partly why this is on my brain today. When I say special needs today, I'm talking about any child that has developmental disabilities, anybody with significant, hey Haley, I'm talking today about moms with mom friends whose kids have special needs. It's nice to have you here. So my daughter is deaf. And she is 3 years old, and she had an appointment today, which kind of triggered all of this. So when I'm talking special needs today, I am talking about kids with developmental disabilities, kids with mental handicaps, or any child that has a significant medical handicap. And I hope that none of the words I use today are going to offend anybody. That is something that I have found to be super sensitive. Some people hate the word handicapped and they think that that's like completely horrible. Some people hate disabled. So the chances of me offending somebody, I guess, are kind of high. So I apologize in advance. I don't mean to offend anybody in any way. Like I said, my daughter has a hearing loss, and my brother growing up, and he still does. He's Down syndrome. And so I spent a lot of time with him in Special Olympics. I was a volunteer coach, or assistant coach, I should say. So I've spent a lot of time around different families who have special needs family members. So as I'm talking, if you could throw up a 1 if you have a friend who has a special needs child, and can you throw up a 2 if you have one, or a 3 if neither of those apply to you? Kind of want to get a feel for who I'm talking with today. And I want to apologize again in advance because I know for a fact that I have been missing people. It always shows that I have 0 watching, and then I don't see anybody there, and then when I jump off, it shows that I've had like several people watching. So I apologize in advance if I miss anybody. Okay, so this morning I took my daughter to her appointment. We had to get up we were supposed to get up at 4 a.m. I was supposed to get up at 4 a.m. We were supposed to be out the door by 5 o'clock so that we could get to our appointment with plenty of time to, walk up all the stairs and do all the things and get where we needed to go. Because of the time change, my body clock has been completely off, and instead of hitting the snooze button, I turned off my alarm. So we ended up leaving the house 45 minutes later than we meant to. But it turned out okay. We got there on time somehow. And so my day consisted of an audiology appointment where they... trying to think how to say this. She has a cochlear implant. I don't know how familiar any of you are with those, but they have to reprogram them. She's had it for about a year now. And so every time we go, they have to check the programming and make sure that that everything is on track and that it is feeding her the sounds and the frequencies that she needs to be able to hear. So we did that, and that is a long process. It is a 2-hour appointment, and she actually did really good today, so it wasn't too bad. But we had quite a bit that we had to talk about, and so basically, at the end of the appointment, we decided that we need to find a new therapy provider, which we already knew, but we just had more concrete ideas on what we need to do and what direction we need to go in. So I get done with this appointment. I'm on my way home. It takes us like an hour to get home. On a good day, we live close to DC, so it takes us two and a half hours sometimes, just depending on traffic. So we go every 3 months now, which is great. We were going like every couple of weeks for a while, and that was really rough. So as I'm coming home, as I'm driving home, and the rest of my day today, I am thinking about who I need to call, therapy providers I need, therapy providers I need to get a hold of. I need to update her school on everything that the doctor and I discussed that pertains to them. I have to order a few new parts for her implant because she's 3 and things break and get lost. I have to deal with insurance now because I'm always the middleman for some reason between the doctor and insurance. And there are a lot of things now that I have to do that are in addition to everything I have to do already. And because of her hearing loss, she is significantly behind her peers in communication. And so the things that you would expect a 3-year-old to be able to do and say, she can't do all of those. And it's something that we've been working on, and she's getting better, and it's fantastic. But there are times where she'll have a meltdown in the middle of the store, and we do not have the communication ability to be able to figure out, like, I can't figure out what's going on with her. She doesn't know how to explain it to me, and so she just has a meltdown in the middle of Walmart or wherever we are, and it can be really hard. And so that is where I'm coming from today. I'm a mom who is kind of in the middle of it, and I'm not trying to say that we have it harder than anybody else. I'm not trying to say that we have it easier than everybody else. I'm just a mom who is dealing with our situation the best that I can. And so as I'm talking to you and giving you some ideas for how to interact with your friend and encourage her and support her, I want to let you know that I'm talking in generalities when I say we as parents who have special needs kids, because that term encompasses so many people and so many different situations and family types and backgrounds. So this is a very general thing. You need to have a conversation with your friend about what I've said. Get her opinion on things. See where she is. Because these are things that I found in my own personal experience, and they're things that I found to be true when talking with other moms who have kiddos that need some extra attention. Okay? So how you can support your friend. Number 1 is text her. Okay? I don't want to sound ungrateful, and I don't want to sound, rude, I guess. But phone calls sometimes, especially in the middle of the day, a lot of times I don't answer. Unless it's an unknown number, because then it might be a doctor, or it might be insurance, or it might be somebody that I have to talk to. And if I don't talk to them, then I have to call them, and it takes me 3 months before I can get a hold of anybody. But phone calls can, and usually do, come at a very bad time. Like, they just do for whatever reason, or I'm feeling overwhelmed with something, or I'm finally having a great day and we can get all sorts of things done, and then I get a phone call and I feel like I have to talk on the phone for a while. And so text her, okay? Text her. If you want to talk on the phone, that's fabulous, but text her and ask her if now is a good time. Ask her if later would be better. Okay, and if she doesn't answer you, do not be offended, okay? Try again later. Text her again later that day. Text her in a couple of days. Don't be pushy, but don't take it personally, okay? There are so many things that she's thinking about, things that not everybody has to deal with, and things that everybody has to deal with. And so she has so much on her mind that she probably has just forgotten to get back to you, or she is dealing with some crazy stressful situation and she just can't right now. So don't be offended. Okay? Another thing is that if you guys are good friends, know that she desperately wants to spend time with you. Okay? She needs that time with adults. She needs to feel normal. She needs to feel like her life is not wrapped up in therapy and doctor's appointments. She needs to just talk about makeup and clothes and cooking and how you overflowed the dishwasher, things like that. Okay, she wants to feel normal. But she probably either lives in therapy or she lives at the hospital. Okay, depending on what the situation is. And you know, like, I mean, right now, my daughter, our schedule has evened out pretty well. We're not in therapy all the time anymore, which may change. I don't know. For a while, we were down to once a week, but now that we're getting into a new therapy provider, I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know at one point, we were in therapy 4 days a week, which every day that was at least 2 hours, and on Saturdays, it was probably a good 4 hours, unless there was bad traffic. And then again, it was longer because therapy itself was an hour and a half, and then it took us an hour to get there and an hour to get back on a good day. And that didn't include if we had to stop anywhere on the way home, things like that. So there's a good chance that her week, her month, her entire year is booked solid with therapy and doctor's appointments, and that's just for the one child. If she has more than one child that has special needs, this is definitely going to be true. It definitely is going to be true. She is going to be wrapped up in appointments. But that doesn't mean that you guys can't see each other, okay? But you might have to go about it a little differently. Okay, she may not have time, her kids may not have time for typical play dates, especially if your kids are in school. So offer to go grocery shopping together. Spend time doing things like that. Offer, if it's nice out and you guys live close, offer to go for a walk together just to get the kids out of the house. Offer to come over and make dinner for her. If you know that she's had a rough week, just offer. She might say no. She might be overwhelmed, and the thought of having to make sure her house is kept up might be too much. But ask her, okay? It is the thought that counts. And if she's having a week or a month where there just is no time for anything like that, or she is just too overwhelmed, don't take it personally. Again, okay? A lot of this, don't take it personally. So think outside of the box for ways that you guys can spend time together, okay? Another way that you can support her is to send her a random encouragement. Send her a random postcard with something funny on it. Send her a $5 Starbucks gift card in the mail. Text her randomly just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, and don't worry about getting back to me. Get back whenever. Just random things like that. You never know. Like, that may be the worst day in her week. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. That might be the worst day in her week, but that one thing can turn her day around. So send that encouragement to her. Be that encourager for her. And another thing that you can do, I have 2 more, okay? And then I'm gonna wrap up because I think one of mine is waking up from nap. But okay, so celebrate the small victories with her, okay? If they seem small to you, you know, if her kid is finally potty trained and he is 7 years old and he's finally potty trained, celebrate that with her, okay? Yeah, your kid may have been potty trained at like 1.5. But sometimes those kiddos just, they can't get it, or their body isn't ready. Their body has developed much slower than a typical child. Or the mom, in my case, thankfully she's 3 and she's finally getting the hang of it. We didn't have the words to communicate that. You know, I was like, okay, potty, go potty, and she didn't know. Like, I couldn't tell her for the longest time. I couldn't tell her how to do it, you know, when to do it. It was really frustrating because I would just sit her on the toilet, and then 2 minutes later, she wanted to get off, and so I let her, and then she, it's hard, okay? And that's just potty training. Like, there are so many things, like walking and talking and just everything that seems simple for everybody else can be a source of frustration and difficulty and challenge for another mom. When I was growing up, I had a friend who's, I think it was her brother. I was pretty young, so I'm trying to remember. But her brother couldn't feed himself. No, it's her sister. I'm sorry, her sister. She couldn't feed herself. She couldn't pick up a spoon. They had to tube feed her until she was, I want to say almost 9, something like that. Because she just couldn't pick up the spoon and get it into her mouth without everything falling off. It took years. And so when you are hearing your mom friend say, she got it. She picked up her spoon and she put a bite in her mouth, and she only ate 3 bites by herself, but she did it. That is so huge for her. Be so excited. Hug her. Tell her that is fantastic. Tell her you're so excited for her. You don't know how much that will mean. You don't. You just don't. I'm sorry. Like, I really didn't think that I was going to get emotional at all. Because I'm really not, like, struggling with too much of this right now. But anyway, so celebrate small victories. And, think about, like, taking her out for dinner to celebrate that. Something like that. And, you're going to have to coordinate that with her. Okay, don't surprise her with that. Like, that might not go over well. But celebrate. Okay, bring her a bottle of wine if she doesn't want to go out. Just do something to celebrate that. Okay? And then the last one that I have for you, that's a way to support your friend. This one you may or may not be able to do. It depends entirely on the family and the situation and the child. And you. It depends on you. Offer to babysit. Okay? And do it sincerely. Let them know that you mean it. Okay? If your friend's child has severe disabilities or severe health issues, the family may qualify for, what's it called? Respite care. That is what I'm looking for. So they may qualify with their insurance or whomever to have somebody come over and give them breaks. Okay? But if your friend has a child whose disability isn't severe by whoever's definition, they may not have that ability. And they may, especially if they don't have family in the area or good friends in the area, they may never get a break. And for me personally, I haven't had this issue really. We've had friends that have been able to watch them and that haven't had an issue with it. And she also has an older brother who signs. And so he's always been an interpreter for her, and it hasn't been that big of a deal. That being said, I have had friends, and I've seen parents of other kids who desperately need a break. They just need to go get a haircut by themselves, or they need to get groceries by themselves. Especially if they're a single parent, or if their spouse works a lot or strange hours, they may never get that opportunity. So offer to babysit, and offer to just swing by, for 10 minutes or something if she just wants to go for a walk. But do that. Support her in that way if you can. If there are issues health-wise, if you are sick, or if you've just been sick, or if you think you kind of maybe have a sore throat, but you don't, you just kind of feel off, but you're not really sure, and you've offered to babysit, if that child has a compromised immune system, cancel. Okay? It will be disappointing for her. Okay, she will miss that opportunity to go out, but you can always reschedule. You will cause so much more stress and anguish and frustration and more sleepless nights by still coming to babysit if you get that child sick. Okay, and I don't say that like people don't think about it sometimes. You know, like if you just have like this kind of scratchy throat, but you're not really thinking about it. If you go to a normal, I shouldn't say a normal, like, see what I mean? Somebody's gonna get offended. If you go to a typical, I guess we'll say, if you go to a typical child's family to babysit, that may not be a big deal. Okay, like if you're not crazy sick, that might not be a big deal, especially depending on your relationship with that family. But it is a huge deal to somebody whose kid gets sick easily, someone whose kid could die from something that a normal kid would get over in a couple days. So offer to babysit, but be extremely aware of your health condition. Be extremely aware of what that child will need. You might have to take a class or maybe not a class maybe, but you might have to come over and let that child warm up to you. You might have to come over and spend some time one-on-one with that child so that you can see their normal routine, so that you can see how to calm them down when they're upset, so that you can see that if they're wobbling their head back and forth like this and they just are completely zoned out, that might just be them calming themselves down. And if you try to intervene or interfere, you may seriously upset them. Just things like that you wouldn't know. Even if you're good friends, you might not know. So offer to babysit. Be prepared to cancel if you need to, if you're sick. Be prepared to have to do a few things to get to know that child even better and to be able to take care of that child, even if it's for like 10 minutes. But offer, okay? If that's something you feel comfortable with doing, okay? So those are my tips, okay? I'm gonna run through them really super duper fast. I'm not gonna explain them again. So text her. Don't be offended if she doesn't answer right away. Text her before you want to call her. She wants to spend time with you. She desperately wants to spend time with you, but she might need to do it at the grocery store or while she gets her hair cut or something like that. Something that may not be a typical excursion for you guys. Send her random encouragement. Send her a book. Send her flowers. Whatever. Just send her something every once in a while. And it doesn't have to be big. Celebrate the small victories. Celebrate the small victories. And then offer to babysit. So that is what I have for you today. I want to thank you so much if you stuck with me through all of this. This is just something that has been on my heart since I got up this morning, I guess. And yeah, so I just thought it was important to share with you. But I will talk to you guys again later. I have some other things to share with you this week that I think are going to be great. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.